Do you really know that medical are the common cause of bankruptcy in the United States of America? And today we are talking about an insurance policy which can alleviate that problem, which is called critical illness insurance. So what is critical illness? Let's see, what is this insurance? Critical illness is an insurance policy that pays you lump sum in case that you are diagnosed with a critical illness. Any diagnosis of critical illness, such as heart attack, stroke, or organ transplant, including renal failure, coronary bypass, cancer, and multiple
whether it's
sclerosis.
taking a physical step or
critical
solving a complex
illness
problem.
Covers extensive medical
The exact
treatment
cause of
and their costs, which outweighs medical insurance. Critical insurance pays costs not covered by your traditional medical insurance. You are given lump sum. The lump sum varies with how much you have been covered for, but the rule of the thumb in Canada, where I'm based, most of the policies, they start around 100, 120, depending with how much you would have asked for the coverage. This money can be used for non-medical costs related to the illness, which is tax-free, pays the expenses, which enable the critically ill to focus on getting better. You use the money to pay for the transportation to and from treatment, retrofit the vehicle so that it can carry the scooters, the wheelchairs, and those who are unable to navigate the staircases, they can fit on the staircases. The money can also be used for vacation to allow the patient to recuperate. So pricing of the policy, let's talk a little bit about pricing of the policy. How does the pricing of the policy determined? So the price of the policy is determined by the certain number of factors. The first one is gender. Are you a man or a woman? The next one is age. As we get old, we are more likely to get sick. And the next one is the health. Are you sick? Are you in good health? And all those will be taken into effect. You have to disclose if you have got any pre-existing condition. Because recently, somebody in 2022 or 2021 in British Columbia here in Canada who denied critical illness because at the time of application, the gentleman did not disclose a pre-existing condition. 3 years down the road, he was diagnosed with colon cancer and they denied him any coverage. Also, you can purchase this insurance on your own. You can purchase it through an employer. You can purchase it as a rider life insurance. The price becomes relatively cheap, especially as a rider on a life insurance. That's the easiest way to purchase critical illness. There are exceptions which will be at the time of the application. You have to read very thoroughly your policy document and also I advise you that you ask questions to your insurance advisor because there are certain types of cancers not covered. It depends from one company to another. You have to be careful about that. And also it doesn't cover chronic illness. These ongoing illnesses are not covered by critical insurance. Critical illness insurance does not cover chronic illness. It doesn't cover recurring critical illnesses such as a second heart attack, a second stroke. Here's the situation. Suppose you have had a heart attack and you claim the policy while you are recuperating. You have to be able to survive 30 days before you can be paid. So you survive those 30 days and you claim your lump sum. So if you have a second heart attack, you don't get covered. If you have a stroke and you have a second stroke, you don't claim, you don't collect. So there are certain stipulations which we have to go through, which will be in the document. So stipulation in the policy document. Cancer may not be covered if not spread. It has to spread to a certain level before it can be covered. The diagnosis of stroke should have caused certain neurological damage and it persisted for more than 30 days. So when you are applying for this insurance, you don't buy insurance. You apply for insurance and they have to assess and determine whether they can cover you, whether you are a high risk or not. So when you are applying for this insurance, you have to ask your advisor these questions. They have to clearly explain to you these stipulations, which are some of the advisors, they're unscrupulous that they might not tell you this because they are trying to get a quick sell to make some commission, because most of insurance advisors work on commission. As I said, stroke diagnosis should have caused neurological damage and persisted for more than 30 days. Other restrictions may include a number of days that the policyholder must be ill or must survive after the diagnosis. The rule of the thumb in most cases is 30 days. You have to survive the illness for 30 days in order for you to collect. So you are diagnosed with a stroke and then you go into hospital. If you die before that 30 days, you cannot collect. They don't pay out. So you have to survive that 30 days. So we'll come to that later a little bit. And there is a limit of payout, of age payout. So as you get older, some policies, they terminate at 65. Most of them, like here in Canada, as I said in one of my videos on life insurance, I briefly worked as an insurance advisor. So most of policies, then they terminate at 65, some at 75. However, you can have the payments diminishing as you get older until it stops out. So assuming that from starting, some policies might state that as you start from age 65 to 75, if you have any critical illness, instead of paying you 100,000, they'll pay you 80,000. Between 65 and 75, maybe they'll say 65 to 70, they'll pay you 80,000. Some they'll say 70 to 75 will pay you 60,000. It's no payment. At the time when underwriting at the application, there are certain policies with return of premiums. So you can choose that as an option. There will be a small additional payment, additional fee to the premiums if you put that rider that you need. A return of premiums, they're done on two things. They will return all your premiums if you don't survive the 30 days. If you get up to age 65, I said 65, 75. Most in Canada is 65. Based on my knowledge back then, at 65, if you don't collect, they will contact you and say, Mr. Smith or Miss Smith, we owe you some money. We just realized that you celebrated your 65th birthday and we are returning all your premiums tax-free. They invest the money, get a little bit more than what you put in, depending where they were investing the money. Say, suppose you paid about, say, 15,000 into the policy. They will write you a check of this amount, $15,000. So let's touch a little bit into the pros and cons of this insurance, the critical illness. Let's start with the pros, the good news. It pays lump sum when there is a diagnosis of critical illness covered under the policy. As I said, that most of the policies in the neighborhood of 100, 150, 200,000, depending with the amount to which you agreed or to the underwriting. You get that, right? The money can be spent on any needs, including non-medical expenses, mortgage, transportation, equipment, as well as vacation. Unlike other insurance policies, or there will be another policy which we'll be talking about, like in the next video, I'll be talking about disability insurance, and I'll also be doing another video where I'll compare disability or illness. However, this one gives you lump sum and you use the money as you wish. Traveling to and from the treatment center, whether you have had cancer and you are going for chemotherapy or whatever treatment you might be under, and you also use the money to pay for your mortgage. You live on the money, to pay for the transportation, to pay for the equipment, to pay for the retrofit of your vehicle so that it can carry scooters, wheelchairs. If you cannot navigate the stairs, they will have to install some equipment which will allow you to go up and down the staircase. These are the advantages of critical illness. And you can purchase it on your own. You can purchase it through an employer. You can purchase it as a rider on an insurance policy. As I said before, if you purchase it as a right, it's the cheapest route. Let's look at some cons of this critical illness. It's not rosy. Some cancers are not covered. At the time of the underwriting, when you're applying for this insurance, sit down with your advisor and he or she has to explain which are the cancers, because some of them, they might just say, oh, cancer, just when you get cancer. No, it's not every cancer which is covered. I believe, from my own experience, one of the cancers which is not covered, cancer. And there could be a number of cancers, but your insurance advisor will explain to you. Also, chronic illnesses are frequently exempted. Recurrence of critical illness like second stroke or second heart attack, you don't receive any payment. Coverage ends or reduces when the insured reaches a stipulated age, a specified age. In most cases, it's age 65 of years of age. Your critical illness is gone. And right now, it's life in the developed world is getting a little bit longer. People are living a little bit longer. So I would advise you that when you're applying for critical illness, add a little bit. It could be $1 or $2 extra so that you get the return of premiums, so that you pay $15,000 a week. This money does not go down the drain. At age 65, they will cut you a check of this amount, because if you don't claim, it terminates very soon at 65. 65 is the new 40. Bottom line, medical bills, as I said right from the beginning, are a common cause of bankruptcy in the United States of America. This policy can alleviate some of the financial worries in an event that you become sick to work, and it provides flexibility on how you can use the money. How you can use the money is up to you. You can use the money for transportation. You can use the money to retrofit your car so that it can carry scooters and wheelchair. You can use the money to install some lifts in your house if you are unable to navigate the staircase. You can use the money even to go on vacation so that you can recuperate. So this is an insurance policy that gives a lot of flexibility. However, at the time of underwriting, ask a lot of questions to your insurance advisor, and also read your policy document thoroughly. If you have any pre-existing condition, disclose it. If you have tattoo, disclose it, because if they determine that your heart attack was linked to a pre-existing condition which you didn't disclose, then they will find a loophole to say no. Ladies and gentlemen, this was all on critical illness. It's a great policy, and I advise everybody to apply for it and purchase the critical illness if approved. And please subscribe to this channel. Every now and then we bring you different news. On the next video will be on disability insurance, long-term and short-term.